Hey guys, so today's video has been a very long-awaited video. I'm very nervous about making this video. I have actually made this video about 3 times, and neither of the times that I filmed the video did I feel like I got my point across, and I wasn't ready to make this video. And months have passed, and I now feel 100% ready to make this video and to talk about it with you guys and to potentially help somebody that is in the same position that I was in. So in the last video, I left off with my boyfriend's or ex-boyfriend's coworker, and I talk about this very in-depth in my book. As you guys know, I released a book about a week ago, and the entire full story about this man that I was dating is in that book. If you guys are interested in reading the entire thing, I will leave all of the information to it in the description box below. For the sake of this video and also in the book, his name shall be Jim. That's not his real name, but I of course am protecting his identity to some degree. So just to give you guys like a little bit of a synopsis in case you've forgotten, in case you need some catching up, pretty much I started dating this guy that I met, and I met him at my job, and immediately there was some kind of weird spark and energy between us. He was very quiet, he was very nervous around me, and when I looked at him, he wasn't my type at all. Just to give you guys like a visual image of this guy, he was short, about like 5'6", 5'7", a little bit on the heavier side, and he was Filipino. I had never dated a Filipino man before. I was never opposed to dating a Filipino or Asian or Pacific Islander. Aesthetically, he was not my type. But there was just something about him. I worked as a cocktail waitress for a period of time in Los Angeles, and I remember the first night that I met him, he gave me like an outrageous tip. And along with that tip, he gave me his phone number. And I gave him my number, and I found myself responding to him. I remember he called me a couple times and we would have conversations, and I was actually shocked at how open I was able to be with him. Eventually I said yes to a date, and he invited me out to lunch. We met up at the Capitol Grill in Costa Mesa, and we were talking, and he was asking me about like my former relationships, and I told him that I just got out of a really long relationship and that I'm not really looking for anything, that I'm just really looking to just hang out and date and have fun. And then when it came time for me to ask him about his past relationships and like why he's single, he kind of just like froze up, started getting a little bit nervous. So I took a mental note of that. I was like, okay, well, either his last relationship like left off on a really bad note, or maybe he's just not comfortable talking about it. The first part of the date was a little bit nerve-wracking. I was kind of nervous. I could tell that he was really, really nervous. I almost felt like it was the first time he was talking to a girl because he was literally shaking in front of me. But in a way, I found that to be kind of endearing. And he kept mentioning like, oh, you know, I've never dated a white girl before. And I was like, well, that's cool. I've never dated a Filipino man before. And he just seemed really like amazed by the fact that I was like white and on a date with him, which I thought was a little ridiculous. I mean, we live in the 21st century. It's not that big of a deal. So the date came to a close, and that was our first date, and things went really, really well. I had a really great time with him, even though in the back of my mind, like there was a tiny little red flag, like, oh, just something's not 100% right, but I figured that since it was only the first date, I wasn't going to overanalyze it. Jim and I would proceed to go on many more dates, and things did get more serious. One time he even took me to Palm Springs. We went to the casino. He took me shopping. I mean, it was amazing. We had some amazing times. He met all of my friends. He was a total sweetheart. So then for the holidays, I left to go to Czech Republic with my family, which he was really upset about because he told me that he wanted to spend the holidays with me. So we decided that since we were spending so much time apart, at least like 3 weeks, that he would come to New York City once I got back from Czech Republic, and we would meet in New York City and spend a few days there. And I thought he was just joking at first. I was like, he can't be serious. He's not gonna freaking fly from Los Angeles to New York City to come see me and like meet my family. That's just completely outrageous. Well, turns out he actually booked a room for 4 nights, and he said that I was free to stay with him the entire time and show him around New York City. We had an amazing, amazing time. We went to see a Broadway show, we went out to dinners, we went to Central Park, we just did all like the fun touristy stuff. Towards the end of the trip, he got to meet my best friend, and then the last day of the trip, he met my mother, my stepfather, and my brother, who all completely fell in love with him. And I felt so proud of myself because all my life, I had gone for like the tall, good-looking asshole types, and this time I was like, you know what, I feel like I'm finally maturing. I feel like I'm growing up because I'm dating somebody who is not my type at all. But I love him for who he is. Like, I love his personality. I love the way he makes me feel. And he may not be tall. He may not be fit. He may not be, you know, your stereotypical handsome prince. But he is endearing and kind and sweet and generous and just amazing. And then everything changed. When we got back from New York, things slowly began to take a turn. As you guys know from my previous crazy stalker stories, I went more into detail on there. He had some tests done, sent me some text messages saying that they found like a tumor on his brain and that he, you know, would have to leave and get it all checked out. And then he just disappeared. I stalked the crap out of this guy. I went to his job. I tried to find out where he lived because lo and behold, I had no idea where this guy lived. Not like, see, red flags right there, but I chose to ignore them because I was blinded by love. I was blinded by love and I was blindsided by this guy because I'd never had anything like this happen to me. So finally I met up with his coworker and his coworker agreed to meet up with me. And I think that's slightly because his coworker's trying to hit on me, but maybe a part of this guy wanted to be nice and tell me the truth. He told me that Jim does not have cancer, he doesn't have a tumor to his knowledge. He told me that the reason why he's been gone is because he's been in the Philippines for the funeral of his father. And immediately that just hit me because, like you guys know, I lost my father a few years ago and that's like a topic that's very sensitive to me. So somebody that I'm close with and dating, I would assume that they would tell me something like that. He tells me that not only is he in the Philippines for the funeral of his father, but he is also in the Philippines with his wife and 2 children. I can't even describe to you guys the feeling that I felt when he said those words. I started to search for excuses and I started to search for what did I miss? There is something that happened in New York City that I should have taken very seriously, but I just decided to push it into the back of my mind and not worry about it. But when Jim and I were in New York, we were sitting in a cab. Jim confessed to me that the reason why he was so quiet about his previous dating life is because he's been going through a lot and he doesn't want to worry me and he doesn't want to stress me out. But he told me that he is in fact not 100% officially divorced. And this took me aback. Like, what? Are you serious? And he could see that I was getting really, really angry about this. So he calmed me down and he told me that it's not what it seems like, that he's been separated from her for over 2 years now. They haven't lived together in 2 years and that they don't have any kids together and that I don't have to worry about anything and that the divorce is just really long and drawn out because there's a lot of money involved. I was mad that he didn't tell me, but the way that he made it seem at that very moment was that he didn't tell me because he didn't want to stress me out. In my mind, I'm thinking, oh crap, this guy is still technically married. But then the other part of me is thinking, well, he's been separated for 2 years, so like what is he supposed to do, you know? I mean, if he's been separated for over 2 years, he's clearly over this woman and it's probably in like the final stages of divorce, so like I should probably not make a big deal out of it. And looking back, it's really hard for me to believe that every single night he was going home to his wife, because sometimes he would stay at my apartment late. I mean, other times he wouldn't. He'd never sleep over, but we saw each other all the time and we texted all day. We would text from the moment that we woke up to the moment we went to sleep. I don't understand how he could have had a wife and 2 kids and been doing all of these things with me. How was he able to go to Palm Springs with me for the weekend? How was he able to go to New York City with me for almost an entire week? Like, these are just things that don't add up in my head. And on top of that, the whole part about the kids, I just couldn't believe that either, because I went back to so many conversations that Jim and I had about like him not having kids, and I always said to him, you're such a nice guy, like you're 38 years old, you have all this stuff going for you, I can't believe you don't have kids. And he's like, yeah, well, you know, it just never happened for me, I never wanted kids. I went home that night after that dinner with his coworker and after he revealed all of this crazy information, and I cried. What really made me the most upset is the fact that I had to hear it from his coworker. I couldn't even hear it from the man's mouth. The man that I felt like I was so close with. Why would you give another woman false hope. He could have just taken me out on dates. It could have just been a fling. It could have just been nothing serious, and then he could have ended it. But he made it so much more. That's not it, guys. You have no idea what I have been through as far as his wife threatening me, threatening my life, because she did find out. And all that other stuff about how she found out is all in my book if you guys are interested in reading it. I don't feel like making this video like 40 minutes long. But his wife found out, and as soon as she found out, I covered for him because I knew he had kids and I didn't want to be that mistress that broke up his entire family. I come from a broken home. My parents divorced, and it really affected my life, and I did not want to be the reason why these two kids had a messed up life. But I knew that deep down she knew, because if she had half of a brain, she would know what her husband has been up to, and I know that she knows, and I know that's why the death threats and the crazy behavior from her continued. I did see Jim after that, and he gave me a half-hearted excuse and his reasons behind why he did it. He told me that he got carried away. He told me that he was just amazed that someone like me could ever have feelings for him, and he told me that I was just basically a fantasy that got out of control. I'm still messed up from the entire situation, and I feel like it is something that will stay with me for the rest of my life. Now, every time I meet a person that's nice, I second guess them. I second guess everything they say, and I look back and I realize how stupid I was. How I ignored so many red flags, and so many of you guys and girls out there might be in the same situation or a similar situation where you find yourself questioning the person that you're with, and you're so in love with them and you're having such an amazing time that you're ignoring all of these red flags. Sometimes it's okay to step back and make sure that everything is legit, because not everyone is what they say. Not everything is as it seems. I feel like I've become a lot wiser from this situation. I know what kind of red flags to look out for. Guy's not sleeping over. He's probably got someone at home. He's got 2 cell phones, either a drug dealer or he's got a wife or a girlfriend. Just all these little things you girls should really watch out for. And sometimes if something seems too good to be true, it usually is. So that's gonna be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for patiently waiting for this part 3 to come out. I know a lot of you have been anticipating this video, and I've just like kind of been holding it off, but it's finally happening. I'm finally uploading it, and I hope it teaches you guys something. I hope you take a lesson away from this. Don't be so naive like I was. Make sure to click the thumbs up button if you like this video, and to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!